as well.
Karen, let me start with you. We were promised this. It has come to fruition, and it seems as if Jamaicans in the USA, even those who have no reason to be put out by what is happening, even they have been shook or shaken by what is happening with the scale and the pace and the
Egos in their classroom and in their schools. I've heard from egos in their classroom and in their schools. I've heard from several Jamaican nationals here where we're organizing because people have reached out. They are afraid in case they are deported. They are wondering what is going to happen to them. They have questions just about their assets in America. They have children who are United States citizens. So as you can imagine, the fear is immense. It's tremendous. But we, as a community, if we pull together, we can certainly navigate this crisis.
Yeah, and I want to hear you a little bit on that because, all right, the problem is here. The problem won't go away, at least not for 4 years as Trump embarks on this mission to deliver on one of the key promises of his election campaign. What can the Jamaican politicians and those sympathetic to migrants overall, what, if anything, can they do to stop this thing from continuing apace?
But I think you have the attorney on, and the first thing that everyone must do, and yesterday we had a convening with the Maurice Maitland Justice Foundation, and he's also a prominent immigration attorney, that they must make sure that they get legal representation immediately. They also need to get a list of nonprofits to see and explore any options that they can in terms of getting some aid around why it is that they are possibly could be deported. So they have to look at relief options. They need to also make sure that they don't sign any documents. What we have said based on the feedback on the concerns, don't sign any documents. Make sure that knowledge is power. Know your consulate and your mission. Get your legal representation. Also in your family structure, especially if you have children who are very young and who are undocumented, you have to give them a list of individuals in a circle outside of your immediate family that can and will assist them, and do not sign any paperwork. You mentioned that social media personality who said, look, I'm going offline. We're recommending to people, do not post. Do not make your whereabouts known. Do not disclose your business to anyone who is not your legal representative. It is not necessary to do so. And know your rights. Gather your evidence. Whatever family ties you have, anything that can support your claim for humanitarian concerns, and get in touch with advocacy groups. Persons laugh at advocacy. They don't realize where advocacy groups come in. But here we are at a moment like this where this work and community of advocacy is extremely critical.
Thank you for that. Openly, it's a hugely busy time for professionals like yourself, people of experience and know-how. And certainly, I mean, the things that you're going to have to deal with now, perhaps if you're dealing with them already, are going to pull at your heartstrings. But professionally, what is your advice to people who are finding themselves in this predicament, and then they have family ties in the United States to boot, but don't have any family ties here in Jamaica?
Right. So Dr. Dunkley said it perfectly. You know, you need to know your rights. There are so many groups that are there to educate the massive and to help with this. One of the things that we have always stated is that you don't have to open your door to anyone. If ICE officers are at your door, you can demand, and you must demand, to see a warrant. And I don't mean a warrant that is signed by an ICE officer. You have to make sure it is actually signed by a judge, because that's the only warrant that is valid. And of course, you don't need to sign anything. You have the right to remain silent. The only time that I would say that, you know, you should speak up is because of what's called the expedited removal. Under the Trump administration, he has, and that went into effect on January 25, where those people, and it's a nationwide expedited removal. If you have been in the United States under 2 years, and it doesn't matter where, anywhere in the United States, the ICE could just pick you up and you don't have a right to present yourself before a judge. So in those circumstances, that limited circumstance, I would say make sure you have with you documentation to prove that you were in the United States within, more than 2 years ago. This may mean an I-94, for example. It may mean your passport that has a star, or even a copy. Don't even need to have the original. Just have a copy of that I-94 to show that you came in. Maybe it is that you started proceedings way back there, maybe 3 years ago, and you have copies of those receipts from USCIS. Have those in your possession. And that's the only time I want you to be able to speak with them. If you know that you have been only within the last 2 years, meaning within a year or so, do not. Just don't even say anything. Don't even give your name. Make it a little bit more difficult for them. Because if you go ahead and say, my name is, Karen from Jamaica, and I've been here for a year, you have just talked too much. Guess what? Your family wouldn't even get a notification. The next time they hear from you, you're back in Jamaica or your country of origin because of that expedited removal that is now in effect.
Scenario for you, Opal. You are gainfully employed in the United States. You've been there for 11 years now, but for some reason, you're not straight. You have a family. You have an apartment that you're paying for. You got a mechanism to be able to pay for something, but you know that your papers are not straight, and you are seeing the news, you're hearing the news, and you have this feeling of fear around you. What do you do?
Get an attorney like myself, or an attorney that you feel comfortable with. And when I say an attorney, I mean an attorney that's knowledgeable of the immigration. Let me tell you what the main reason why in that scenario somebody could be here in the United States for 11 years and have their family. And yet still the people are saying, wait a minute now, why didn't they sort themselves out all these years, right? The thing is that because of how the manner in which they entered, unfortunately, they may not have been inspected. And so they were not paroled. They do not have that admission. So even though they have their family now, they have their spouse, they have their children, and that spouse very well who's a U.S. citizen could file for them, they would have to depart the United States. They're going to need what's called an I-601A waiver. Of course, they're going to have to show hardship to that spouse, for example, or a parent, and it's not guaranteed it will be approved. And a lot of people, they dread just knowing the fact that they're going to have to step out. Even though I've tried to assure people, and I've gotten a lot of I-601A proved, but some people just don't want the daunting task and the possibility that even a 10% possibility that they may be stuck in Jamaica or their country of origin. But that's an option for them. So please just go ahead and speak with an attorney and know your options. If you're here for more than 10 years, you have a United States citizen spouse and children, you don't have any criminal record or any disqualifying criminal record, chances are we can sort this out because you just need an I-601A waiver. And then once that's approved, normally I don't let my clients leave until I know it's approved. And I even start the other process of them getting their fingerprints in Jamaica. I don't even let them leave to do that. I do everything from the United States. And then when I know they have an interview, the U.S. Embassy, then I let them leave. And then if they did not lie to me or there's no other fraud indications, they have no problem returning.
And so, Opal, for those who are not straight and they have a little job and they're afraid to go out now and they feel, you know what, it's best I not turn up for work and hopefully I'm going to spend the money that I have to stay inside, and maybe after a month or so I'll re-emerge and see if I can find another job somewhere. Is that the best thing to do in these circumstances?
It is absolutely the best thing right now, unfortunately. The things that leave in your door, you don't know if your family member is going to get back in. You don't know if you're going to get back in or return home. The thing is that I know there's some options where even for schooling for your children, a lot of people are looking into see whether or not they could do those online schooling if it's not too late to register their child. One important thing that I think the listenership need to know, do not get behind that car wheel if you do not have a driver's license. So many people have been taking the risk. They're like, oh no, I don't have any criminal record per se. And so the police are just not going to take me in. This is the new sheriff in town. It's a new thing. So if you have been driving and there's your license, and even with a Jamaican driver's license, or don't even worry about those international license, that's not going to cover you. So if you don't have a state-specific driver's license, a United States driver's license, do not get behind the wheel. Let your family member who may be a U.S. citizen, let them drive. If you're thinking about stepping outside your house, do not, because that's one of the ways where if you're driving, you don't have that license, the police are going to stop you. They will. They will notify ICE, hey, I got one of them. And then your family members is going to just be crying and coming to an attorney like myself. So don't, those just, it's not worth it. Get a one of those ride share, whichever one you're comfortable with. But it's better to do that and do Zoom. For example, even in my office, we have been doing a lot of Zoom, consults. I don't want them to worry about driving to an immigration attorney. And next thing you know, ICE is out there waiting. I said, oh, that's an immigration attorney right there. So I've been doing a lot of Zoom consults, WhatsApp consults, and we have different ways to navigate this.
Yeah. Karen, is there any coordination among the advocacy and pressure groups in the key parts of the U.S. where this thing is bubbling up fastest? That coordination in terms of how do we push back, or are we all just hostages to the moment and there's nothing that can be done?
Well, we're never hostages to the moment because our people are resilient and we're the people of Marcus Garvey. And we have a case study for this where once upon a time during the slave codes, we have to produce our freedom papers, right? And so we know as we have the attorney and the community is now organized and importantly resourced. And this is where they usually say, oh, Black people can't work together, but we have to work together. And so in the Northeast, I can speak specifically and to some extent in one instance in the South, we know that many of the immigration attorneys are doing exactly what Attorney Opal is doing. They are offering consultations to different individuals just to navigate their unique circumstance. So with an immediate quickness, if you need a referral to an attorney, just check with people, check with someone you trust, or you could reach out to, depending on where you live, immigration is federal, to some of the immigration advocacy groups, i.e. Opal, you could mention some, but I want to again go to the Maurice Maitland Justice Foundation. Let me say this in terms of advocacy. The Ambassador Marks, she's having a program on Let's Connect where she has some immigration attorneys coming on. The different consulates, CG Oliver Mayer in Miami and CG Wilson in New York, they're having also immigration forums and just different individuals. There's a gentleman, Lawman Lynch, he's running for city council. I know him quite well, putting together another immigration forum. So this is a place for advocacy to know your rights. But again, nothing unnecessary. This is not a time to prove anything to anyone. When we were growing up, my mom used to say, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You don't need to go around enumerating to anyone what your legal status is. That is no one's business. Let me emphasize this for those who have school-age children. Attorney Opal spoke about online. There is no school district in the United States of America where immigration status is a requirement for enrollment. You do not need to show any immigration status to enroll your child in a school. If you do this and they're now requesting it, that is a red flag. With immediate quickness, you need to consult your attorney. So the advocacy organizations are here. You can look on the internet, reach out to the consulates and the missions, reach out to Attorney Opal. Perhaps you want to give your information. Certainly reach out to the Maurice Maitland Justice Foundation. I've been working closely with Attorney Maitland on bridging different individuals across the United States to the kind of relief options that they can explore.
Karen, I'm sitting here hearing you speak, and I'm wondering to myself if it is that the advocacy groups and the people at the center of the storm, i.e. the people who are not straight, I put it as simple as that, if it's almost as if they were all hoping that the day would not come when 45 became 47, and that even if he got into office, he would not make good on his promise to launch an immigration crackdown like has never been seen before. Am I wrong in believing that we were all caught a bit unawares by the aggression with which this promise is being kept?
I think that perhaps the majority of individuals, depending on which news network, which side of the fence you watched, you were in your echo chamber. I have the opportunity to work across the country. I work in Utah. I have strong ties in Florida. And so to the chagrin of many of my colleagues, I kept saying that we have to watch to see what's going to happen in this election. what we are hearing and seeing as potential victory will not pan out. But we do know that number 45 has had a history of keeping the promises that he has made to his constituency. We've seen where Ron DeSantis in Florida has said that we were using the E-Verify law, which means now that in order to gain employment in Florida, since 2023, the employers, if you have 25 or more employees, you must ensure that you use E-Verify that these individuals can be legally employed. Why is that important? Because we now see states such as Florida supporting and enhancing and enabling Trump's immigration policies, where they're saying that now you cannot even send remittances back to Jamaica. You must use the E-Verify system so to prove that you are documented legally in order to send remittances. So those of us who were looking at the span, not exercising high emotionalism, but paying attention to the ground, speaking to different parts of the United States, knew that the day was coming, the day is here, which is why, to the credit of immigration attorneys such as Opal, we were able and are being able to organize quickly. And we must acknowledge that. Our response has been quick and ready and resolute.
Hear you on that. Opal, just before we go, Opal Lee, how can people reach you? You said Zoom consultations, WhatsApp consultations. Are those available to people who are here who may have to advocate on behalf of their relatives who are in a tailspin in the United States at this time?
Absolutely. No matter where in the world you're located, we even have clients right now in the continent of Africa who are trying to get to the United States. And on that point, we're actually doing a webinar. So if they go to our Instagram, they will see the information on that. It's a free webinar. Don't even have to register. I don't need to know who you are. It's just free. This is just my way of giving back to the community. So I'll answer those questions. But it's Opal Lee, and our phone number in the United States is 954-358 2020. That's 954-358-2020. We also have an office in Jamaica in the Dunrobin Plaza, and our phone number in Jamaica is 876-854-3599. That's 876-854-3599, or they can get more information on our website, www.flowjamlegal.com.
And lastly, Opal, if I have a spouse, if I'm in the United States, I'm not straight, but my spouse is a U.S. citizen, or my spouse is, does that offer me any protection in this time?
Not if you did not have a lawful entry. Remember what I spoke about earlier? You have to have had a lawful entry. So it's better to be, it's great that you're married to that person, because even if you did not have that lawful entry, there's means we can do that I-601A.
Hear you on that. Dr. Karen Dunkley, OD, Opal Lee, thank you very much, ladies. All the best to you. And may you both continue the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Walk good.
Yeah. It's a bad time. It's a bad time. This day would come. Capleton has a song on the Hard Times rhythm that says, that day will come. Well, that day has come here in Jamaica, in the United States rather, where our brothers and sisters whose papers are not straight for whatever reason. And it's easy to criticize people, say, oh, you did stay so long, your papers are straight. Various reasons can cause that reality to exist. And yeah, people in hiding. You hear people who are in the know telling you in certain circumstances, it is best to lock down in your house. Don't leave your apartment, because if you do, your chances of being intercepted by ICE and deported, especially if you've been in the States for less than 2 years, the expedited removal measure can be used to get you out without you even seeing a judge. It's really a tough time, and we watch to see how it unravels. As I said, don't be comforted by this too shall pass. It's going to take 4 years. 4 years is an awfully long time to have this proverbial sword of Damocles, deportation, hanging over your head. Damocles' sword hangs by gossamer's wings, and they say gossamer's wings are thinner than a sliver of a spider's web. Oh my God, I end poetically. Nika Lewis she's in brown or tan today. She's looking good. She's standing by with the news at 7.
Class is in session with a Jamaican Class is in session with a Jamaican National Money Masterclass takeover. Curious about deadlift? We'll have a chat with the Administrator General Department, but we'll keep the fun alive with some poetry and some great hits. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Are you really going to miss this? Prove you're not that guy. Every step counts. Sign up now. The time by Sagicor Sigma run is
7 o'clock.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of
Your Love Lives On with life insurance from Sagicor.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, government to unveil first 40 spark roads in $45 billion overhaul. $40 billion power heist, electricity theft soars. And 3 shot, 2 dead following mass shooting. In the business report, the first JSE listing of 2025. We're also living the life with Curlin Brown. While in sports, Reggae Boy set to sign with Genk. From Kingston, Jamaica, it's Wednesday, January 29, 2025. Thanks so much for making it CVM News at 7. I'm Nika Lewis. Jamaica's crumbling roads have been a sore point for months, but relief is on the way. The government is set to unveil the first 40 roads under its $45 billion Spark program, part of a broader push to rehabilitate key infrastructure. Works Minister Robert Morgan provided updates today, and here's Ramon Gordon with the details.
The road is not a pothole, them I know it's a pit.
When me a drive last week in a road, me say I can't forget wing.
The pothole then deep, then jerk. People ball for them back in a taxi, no matter how slow you go.
We need some help, and not tomorrow or next week. We need it right now.
After months of public outcry over Jamaica's crumbling roads, the government will announce the first 40 set for repairs under its $45 billion Spark program next week. Works Minister Robert Morgan, at a post-cabinet press briefing, said the long-awaited effort has been in motion for months, with key sectors still recovering from last year's extreme weather.
By next week, we'll be announcing 40 roads, which will begin immediately all across the island for Spark. And the month after that, we'll be announcing another 30 roads, that's 70. And then the month after that, we'll be announcing another 30 roads, that's 100. So by the end of the financial year, we would have started 100 roads across the island.
The minister dismissed claims that the project had stalled, asserting the government's managing funds effectively.
There are some roads that require land acquisition. There are some roads that require extensive pipe works. There are some roads that require realignment. We are not going to be wasting taxpayers' money.
The announcement comes amid a flurry of ongoing road rehabilitation projects, including the $3 billion REACH Road program and the $2 billion Emergency Road Rehabilitation program. On the controversial Barbican Road repairs, Minister Morgan clarified that the works were not a government expenditure, but rather a contractual obligation of the original developer.
So those who are saying, why them dig up Barbican? The government did not dig up Barbican. It did not cost the government $1. It was the contractor who had an obligation to correct what they built which had flaws.
Turning to the largest bridge in Jamaica, the Montego Bay River Bridge, the minister revealed that the project is now 90% complete. The bridge forms a key part of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, which is 55% complete, with an expected finish in 2026. The government's accelerated bridge development program is also gaining momentum, with 55 bridges island-wide set for rehabilitation or replacement.
40% of Jamaica's population live in rural areas and are served by roads and bridges that have been in service for over a century. Many persons have been extremely excited at the possibility that one of the bridges in their community will be a part of it.
I go and bounce it till better come, man, because I hope for the best, you know. Because I'm a taxpayer in our country, so I hope for the best.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Jamaica's electricity theft crisis has taken once again center stage, with new figures revealing that over $40 billion worth of power was stolen in 2023. Energy Minister Darrell Vaz made the disclosure in Parliament on Tuesday as concerns mount over the impact on paying customers. Here again is Ramon Gordon.
It's a decades-old problem, but one that continues to cost Jamaicans billions each year. Electricity theft accounted for 15.9% of JPS's total consumption in 2023, 80% of the company's non-technical losses. The financial burden is being passed on to paying customers, who saw an almost 1% increase in their bills last year to cover the loss.
Typical residential customer would incur additional costs of about $1,050 Jamaican dollars per month on average on their bills due to electricity theft.
An additional cost of over $1,000 every month. That may be up to 8.7% of your monthly bills. Val says the government is finalizing a cabinet submission and is expected to make provisions in the upcoming budget to address the issue.
It is going to require, and I've said it here before, many millions, or if not billions of dollars to really make it affordable to be able to get those who are not on the grid, and most importantly, to be able to stay on the grid.
But opposition spokesperson on energy, Philip Paulwell, says solutions have been on the table for years.
In April 2021, there was a private member's motion that has been on the table for us to debate this issue, and with some clear recommendations. I still believe that there is time before the budget debate for us to deal with some of these specific recommendations.
Among opposition suggestions are proposals for solar power in low-income communities, a re-examination of JPS's monopoly creating license, and a revitalization of Petrojam. Paulwell also pressed the government to disclose exactly how much of the $40 billion loss is being absorbed by paying customers. While Minister Vaz did not provide a specific figure, he said the amount is likely substantial. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Now, in other news, a section of the corporate area got heated Wednesday afternoon following a mass shooting in Whitehall, St. Andrew. 3 people were shot in that incident. Here's Trisha Kelly.
A brazen daylight shooting on Whitehall Avenue, St. Andrew, has left at least one community in shock. Reports are that the incident occurred sometime after 3 p.m. Wednesday on Cameron Lane in the area. Commanding Officer for St. Andrew North, Acting Superintendent Randy Sweeney, shares the details of the incident.
Information is that men were at a bar along Cameron Lane, which is off Whitehall Avenue, when a motor vehicle drove up. Men alighted from same, and one of the men ran off to the back of the premises. He was pursued and shot by the men.
However, the story doesn't end there. It seems unassociated civilians were also impacted.
We suspect that the other 2 persons were shot and injured, were shot in the crossfire. Can confirm 3 persons were shot and injured, and 2 succumbed. One of whom is unidentified. The last time I spoke to the team on the ground. We have to maintain a presence in the air as we try to determine the motive for this killing, for these murders.
Trisha Kelly, CVM News.
Tuesday's bill to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish has sparked mixed reactions. The government strongly supports the move, while the opposition accuses the Holness administration of trying to manipulate constituency boundaries for political advantage. Britannia Witter has more.
Government on Tuesday officially tabled a bill for the Counties and Towns Amendment Act 2025, a piece of legislation that paves the way for the elevation of Portmore to parish status. This long-discussed initiative is expected to transform the municipality's governance structure. Chairman of the Joint Select Committee on Portmore's parochial status, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, insists that the elevation of Portmore is a necessary step to ensure the community's needs are better addressed and that it would provide greater autonomy to the residents.
It is a commitment that was given. Yes. We are honoring that commitment, and we are also giving the people of Portmore full autonomy. We are giving them more control over their resources and giving them also an opportunity to determine their own future and not be a part of St. Catherine.
Dr. Wheatley further stressed that this move was not politically motivated, but rather a means by which Portmore residents can have better representation.
Because as it now stands, the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation can make decisions that impact the people of Portmore, even though they are not directly linked.
However, the opposition has strongly criticized the move. Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitz-Jackson, claims the government's push for the bill is a calculated effort to gain favor in Portmore.
Nothing at all that will be brought about to improve the lives of people of Portmore. What will it do? It will help to create a JLP stronghold constituency. That's all it's about. Secondly, they tried it before the local government election because they never wanted the parish councillors or the councillors in Portmore to vote in the St. Catherine municipality so that they could get control of the Spanish Town Municipal Corporation.
Jackson went on to suggest that the bill's introduction is more about consolidating JLP support in the region than addressing the long-term interests of the people of Portmore.
Jamaica Labour Party is seeking to do through what they consider a cute idea of creating a new parish is to enable them to use their parliamentary majority, bypass the Electoral Advisory Commission and establish particular constituency boundaries. That's where it starts and ends.
The bill is expected to be debated in Parliament in the coming weeks, with a vote scheduled soon after. If passed, Portmore would become Jamaica's 15th parish, since the current 14 were established in the 1860s. Britannia Witter, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues in a moment.
I am Nige Boy, and I am proud to support the Sagicor Sigma corporate run.
We need your help to raise $115 million for our 3 beneficiaries.
The Kingston Public Hospital Intensive Care Unit,
the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, and Father Holong and Friends Foundation.
Register today for the Sagicor Sigma Run
or donate to the cause at sagicorsigmarun.com.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane.
Welcome back. An area council meeting in northwest Clarendon saw the outpouring of support from councillors for Warren Newby as the successor for incumbent MP Philip Henriquez. But Corey Dunkley, another contender for the party's role at the polls, is unmoved by the show, awaiting the party to make what he describes as the right choice.
Warren Newby has been backed by councillors in the Jamaica Labour Party as the standard bearer for the Northwest Clarendon constituency. As tensions heat up in the parish for who will represent the party in the next elections, councillors step forward, raising Newby as the best successor to incumbent Philip Henriquez.
He has paid his dues, and I think it's full time now that we get the right leader, and as they say, return back Northwest Clarendon to the great days of Edwin Allen. And I think Warren Newby is the man for the job and the only person that can unite us within the Northwest Clarendon constituency.
The people already know the name Warren Newby, and the people are willing to support him. He's also a young man, and he knows how to deal with people, and he knows how to communicate with people. For those reasons, and I think that he is the only candidate at this time who will defeat the President.
Newby, a former senator, is up against political neophyte Corey Dunkley, who remains undeterred as he seeks to represent the party for the Northwest Clarendon seat.
I know that I have been on the ground and in the constituency getting familiar and building relationships with the people of Northwest Clarendon. And in terms of that, I'm sure that they will make the right choice. It is overall incumbent on everybody to respect the decisions of the people, myself included, and underscore and highlight the work for the constituency.
And while Newby expressed gratitude for the support of party members, he's leaving things to the party selection process.
I am still expectant of a process. I know that there are other contenders. My respect goes out to each and every one of them. Every person that stands in a green shirt on behalf of our party has my enduring support and respect. And I want to assure all that in this time is just civility and respect.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Well, Courtney Lewis joins us now in studio with more on what's happening in the Northwest Clarendon constituency.
Well, Nika, our correspondents went into the constituency today, and although Warren Newby has the support of at least 3 councillors, the residents are dissatisfied with the performance of the incumbent Philip Henriquez and say they prefer the political newbie Corey Dunkley. While this isn't an official canvass of voter preference, it's left questions about a JLP victory against the PNP's Richard Azan in the upcoming general elections. I have more details in this report. Residents of northwestern Clarendon are voicing their discontent with the incumbent Member of Parliament, Philip Henriquez. The views come as the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, begins its selection process for standard bearer in the next general election.
Parliament maybe in the first part we also seem good, but poor. Recently we not seen none at all, maybe a year or over a year now. So we don't have no representation.
Poor representation, man. No road, no fix. For we know ourselves, Teacher Allen come up to Clifton Stone. He rose wherever he rode them in northwestern Clarendon. Poor representation.
The JLP contenders for the Northwest Clarendon seat are former Senator Warren Newby and political newcomer Corey Dunkley. And although councillors threw their support behind Newby at the recent area council meeting, some Frankfield residents are singing a different tune.
I think we'll go with Dunkley, you know. Reason why grandfather, his father, we know him very well. We might not know the son very well as yet, but he need to come in and make we know him and things. But for the meantime, we think we don't go with Dunkley. We don't know Warren Newby.
So we rather go with Mr. Dunkley. Yeah, because his father is contractor fixing road and stuff. I'm a labor, right? So whoever come, I'm working with. But my choice is Mr. Dunkley.
We want the man with the name Mr. Dunkley because we know Mr. Dunkley from we are there growing up. Youth is young, let me give him a choice. A young politician are coming. So everybody need a child. Give him a child.
But Northwest Clarendon may be the constituency to watch, as confidence in the Jamaica Labour Party's Henriquez fluctuates among supporters.
He cannot win again, man. It don't make sense in Chai. It don't make sense in Chai. Poor representation from Mr. Enriquez. Right now, the office don't open from last year. We not nobody represent we. You understand? We there and we won. If it's Mr. Enriquez, we say yes, he give it away. But if we have a new representation, we can try.
But only one leader we have is Richard Azan. Simple.
The PNP's Richard Azan will contest the seat in the next general elections. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Following a myriad of executive orders less than 100 days in office, United States President Donald Trump has put a month-long pause on foreign aid programs. The shutdown is the Trump administration's way of realigning America's dollars to America's interest, but begs the question of what impact this freeze may have on international partners. Courtney Lewis explores the implications for Jamaica in this report.
The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is one of the largest global funding sources in the world. But just 8 days into office, United States President Donald Trump has placed a stop order on all foreign assistance programs. It's true to form that if the USA sneezes, Jamaica catches a cold, as the 90-day pause on U.S. assistance has major impact on some of Jamaica's social programs. Development Communications Specialist Indy McLymont Lafayette says the most vulnerable, especially persons living with HIV or AIDS, will feel the weight of this freeze.
A lot of persons rely on the PEPFAR funding through the local USAID office for their medication, for their testing. A lot of the free HIV testing that we see advertised, a lot of that comes through US aid. So it will have a significant fallout, especially for persons who are, more vulnerable.
The U.S. Department of State issued a release saying President Trump stated clearly that the United States is no longer going to blindly dole out money with no return for the American people. It's in keeping with Trump's commitment during his first term.
We will examine what is working, what is not working, and whether the countries who receive our dollars and our protection also have our interests at heart. Moving forward, we are only going to give foreign aid to those who respect us and, frankly, are our friends.
But Lafayette says this move by the Trump administration is simply playing politics with serious funding.
The fallout is that persons who are not directly playing politics will be impacted. It's really a shock for many entities globally. There's no adjustment time, and so partners in the NGO sector, for example, who would be working closely to implement the programs, they would be left holding the bag.
The freeze, however, pushes Jamaican non-governmental organizations to look inwards, finding alternative sources for income.
These entities will have to look at stuff like more social enterprises, what can be done locally that can generate funds that they can put back into the NGO, and maybe even online, like monetizing their social media pages. So looking at multi-pronged ways to raise income.
And to withstand the shocks of a Trump presidency, she touts regional and international partnership as a solution.
I do think we just have to explore a bit more where we can strengthen partnerships to adjust the dependence on the U.S.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
It's now time for the Business Report with Joel Crossgill.
Lots to share with you in the Business Report today about the willingness to challenge convention and the ability to think big as confidence in Cygnus Investment Limited's strategy of innovation was made manifest with the listing of the largest perpetual preference share raise in the Jamaica Stock Exchange's history, an outcome that may have even astonished Jason Morris, Executive Vice President and Chief Investment Officer at Cygnus Group.
On November 25, 2024, we embarked on an ambitious
mission to raise capital for public offering of perpetual cumulative mean-level preference shares. What followed exceeded all our expectations. SCI successfully raised the largest public perpetual preference share offering at the Jamaica Stock Exchange, securing a record $5.17 billion. This is approximately $33 million. This achievement is historic, not only for Cygnus, but also for the entire private credit industry across the Caribbean region.
Initially set to raise $1.2 billion Jamaican dollars, upsizable to $1.6 billion, and US $20 million for the Jamaican dollar and US dollar preference share classes respectively. Both classes of preference shares on offer were oversubscribed, prompting the extension of the offer to December 30, 2024.
The two classes of preference shares offering yields of 10% for the Jamaican dollar class H and 8% for the US dollar class I were oversubscribed by 43% and 10% respectively. This response underscores the unwavering trust and confidence investors place in Cygnus and our vision for the future. This marks the second consecutive year we have returned to the Jamaica Stock Exchange to start the year by listing an oversubscribed offer.
The Cygnus Group's continued faith in the financial capital markets was welcomed by Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, Managing Director of the JSC, who suggests Cygnus's signal of confidence in the JSC is well placed and timely when contemplating investor appetite after an extended period of high interest rates.
Last year, January 19, 2024, Cygnus was in, listing 3 tranches of preference shares, 1 on the JSC main market and 2 on the US dollar market. Fast forward today, I must again express my delight. Cygnus seem to be making bold January statements, as last year their listing exceeded the amount of capital raised on the main market, junior and the US dollar market for the previous 2023. Based on the business confidence survey that's the fourth quarter conducted and released by the Chamber of Commerce, there are companies which are seeking to expand their business. So I take this opportunity to encourage them to come to market. The environment is right.
While the total number of companies that have listed on the market remains at 103, Cygnus is responsible for a growing percentage of the now 155 listed securities, as noted by Andre Tuller, Chief Regulatory Officer of the Regulatory and Market Oversight Division of the JSC.
This listing represents Cygnus' 6th and 7th security to be listed on the JSC. This milestone not only represents the testimony to Cygnus' remarkable growth and vision, but also is a validation of the strength, transparency, and opportunities that the Jamaican capital market continue to provide.
Carl Townsend, Chief Country Officer, Group Capital Markets Unit Jamaica at JMMB, also noted the role JMMB played in attracting over 1,000 investors within 4 weeks as lead broker.
The fact of the matter is, this is the second time that we have brokered a perpetual pref, having pioneered this transaction for Productive Business Solutions some time ago, and we used a similar structure which we believed and ultimately was proved that it was very attractive for our clients. What I would say to Cygnus is continue doing what you're doing. I think the market has a lot of confidence in what you're doing. We love this alternative investment space. We like partnering with you because you're doing some very creative things, and your creativity and our innovation, we believe, is a solid partnership.
One that now extends the reach of Cygnus Credit Investments towards a range of new possibilities, according to Morris.
With this capital, Cygnus Credit Investments is well positioned to deepen its impact across key industries, including manufacturing, distribution, financial services, energy, construction, and transportation. This phase enables us to continue to deliver flexible debt financing that drives growth, creates opportunities, and strengthens economies across the region. As we celebrate this achievement, I want to emphasize that it is with more than just numbers or financial performance. It is a reflection of shared trust, collaboration, and a commitment to excellence. Together, we have set a new standard in the financial landscape, and I'm excited about the opportunities that lie ahead.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
We take another break. Stay with us.
Or fear of missing out, CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
We a big deal when we touch the ground. Yeah, a KFC when we pulling up. Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is
7:30. I'm Sedella Marley.
I am Nige Boy, and I am proud to support the Sagicor Sigma corporate run.
We need your help to raise $115 million for our 3 beneficiaries.
The Kingston Public Hospital Intensive Care Unit,
the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, and Father Holong and Friends Foundation.
Register today for the Sagicor Sigma Run
or donate to the cause at sagicorsigmarun.com.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. I never make no record, I beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
Welcome back. Well, we take a look now at social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Jamaican dancehall artist Spice made a guest appearance on Sunrise this morning to discuss her recent school tour. She shared the tour's positive impact and also addressed the cancellation. Here are some of your reactions. At Shelly and Week shares, "This is unfortunate. We demand that the Jamaican artists do more positive things to help their country, but become obstacles when they step up." At Sharika Shernet comments, "The silliness, and they think the students don't listen to her music, LOL. One of the best persons to speak to the children. She is a mom as well." At Bubbly_Moy asks, "Would they take her contribution towards school supplies and stuff?" At Gooch Baby posts, "Spice music not for school kids though." At Neositis adds, "To be honest, the lyrics contain too much exposure for kids. It belongs in the adult arena." At Caramella Dolce says, "Well, I'm glad she went back to her own high school and they welcomed her with open arms." And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM Television on Facebook. I'm Courtney Lewis.
And in regional and international news, Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley is hopeful that any Barbadians who are subject to deportation from the United States under President Donald Trump's mass policy will be handled with dignity. The Prime Minister also commented on President Trump's declaration of a 90-day freeze on all international aid. More from CBC News Barbados.
Whether we like the way in which it is being done or not is a different story. But you have to respect the fact that a sovereign country can do what it needs to do to protect its own laws. I do hope that there will be conversations that will allow countries who are receiving the time to be able to ensure that we can do this in a dignified way. And I certainly have asked my Ministry of Foreign Affairs to coordinate to see what they can do to ensure that any any sending back of persons will be done in a dignified way.